word for a perpetual urge to explore foreign countries and culture drove me out of India to go and settle in Denmark. Though I had many other options to go to different countries like Netherlands, Belgium, or Spain, but I chosen Denmark. 18 January 2018, I landed in Copenhagen, and my first and foremost challenge was that how to build a social life in Denmark and how to make friends. And to make that possible, I knew there were two keys of success. One is knowing the Danish language, and second, knowing the art of small talk. I was amateur at both. I don't know. So my exposure to Danish started when I started saying good morning to my fellow Danish fitness freaks whom I used to join on morning run at famous Osterbro Lake. And I believe all of us start learning a new language or learning a foreign language in the similar fashion. So while my Danish learning experience was quite funny, I mean, well, it's not for me, but for all the days who used to listen to me. So one Danish family, they invited me for a dinner, and I thought it'll be a good opportunity for me to hone my Danish speaking skills and to learn some Danish etiquettes while I go for this dinner. So I mugged up some Danish phrases which can be used during the dinner. And here I am at the dinner table. The family cooked vegetarian and non-vegetarian food for me without knowing my food preferences. And I'm sitting with them, having a conversation, looking at different platters. And all of a sudden, mid of the conversation, I pointed towards a platter. And in Danish, I asked, "Ava med det?" All of a sudden, their eyes became more expressive than their mouths. They were looking at me, staring at me. And later on, I realized, in place of asking, "What is it?" I asked, "Who is it?" Next Sunday, I went to Danish cinema with my family. And as soon as we got into the cinema and we took our seats, we started chatting. And a Dane sitting behind us, he really got fed up with our chatter. He leaned forward and said, "Hey, I can't hear a single word." And my wife looked into his eyes, though it was too dark. He said, "You should not. Don't you know this is our private conversation?" And this is what happens when you live with different nationalities. You don't always see what they see, and they don't always see what you see. But in this kind of a scenario, nothing is right, nothing is wrong. But one thing I learned, that whenever I go to a Danish cinema next time, I have to keep quiet. Now this stay in Denmark gave me a lot of opportunities to travel across Europe because of my sales job. And that's where the art of small talk came really very, very handy for opening the conversation either at airport or during the flight, visiting different cities. So one day I was in Helsinki, the capital of Finland, having my meal. And in Europe, when you have meal, when you eat, you talk. You eat, you talk. But in Finland, Finns don't need to talk. They know how to talk, but they prefer not to do so. So I'm having this meal. There was a Finn across my table, and I thought of opening a conversation with him through the small talk. And there are a few rules about small talk. The first rule is that ask a simple, curious question. Pick up a word from the answer, build another question, and then open the conversation. So I leaned forward to him, looking at his platter, and then asked, "Have you lived in Helsinki throughout your life?" He looked at me, stared for a moment, silent, and then said slowly, "Not yet." I was flabbergasted. I was confused. Should I choose not or yet? Not or yet? Not or yet? For me, it was too tough. For them, it is too easy. That's how Nordic people talk. They talk in economy. It may be quite surprising for us, but it is not. It is in their culture. I'm not a culture expert. I haven't studied culture at universities. I haven't read many books about culture. But those 2 years in Denmark and my travel across Europe brought me much more closer to the people, perspective, and the platters. Today, I understand the best of these culture and what I call this having a global mindset. It is this global mindset which drives the world together. It is this global mindset which makes the world adopting Namaste in this Corona crisis. It is this global mindset which fires my wanderlust. And in German, they call it FERNWEH.